that I was not, I was kind of postponing all the time when I'm going to show, making notes. And there were many people who are encouraging me to bring this topic to you. And it is something that I discovered on a conference and like 2 years ago, and it was super useful to me. So, but a little bit introduction, there might be some of you who don't know me. I'm local from Krakow. I work in DC department. I'm Scrum Master and a little bit newbie project / release manager now in learning. So I'm learning new things about my project. But things that I'm passionate about are notes, facilitation, and all the kinds of visual thinking. So today I want to tell you what are sketchnotes, what is this thing, show examples, and encourage you to draw with me that you can see how simple it is, like how you can use it on your daily basis, whether you take notes, have a meetings, or create a list for shopping. It's super useful. The last moment for you who join like spontaneously, like grab a piece of paper or a notebook, a pen or fine pen fountain. You can also have mobile device, but something that you can create lines. And for the best experience, if you can have a highlighter. But like, wait a moment, like I'm going to show you some more examples. So, but if you want to note already, like feel free to. And there's going to be practice time. And so there's going to be a lot of ideas how to start, and some templates and ideas. I'm going to later on share the PDF or the JPGs overview, so you can use it as reference. That's how I was using it. So here, everything together, kind of. That will be usual Sketchnote thing, but I decided it's going to be easier to comprehend when it's a little bit separated. But everything started to me 2 years ago when I joined a workshop, graphical facilitation for people who can't draw. I could draw a little bit, but I didn't do it. And I was thinking that like notes, it's like I have to capture all the work. If I don't capture what people say, there are bad notes. And I was not doing that. I was not utilizing any note taking at work usually. And something that me joining this workshop unlocked me to try experiment with their stuff. So here is a little bit shout out, or like people who I was following or I learned about existing during this workshop. So Alicia Gonçalves was a lead of that workshop, and she introduced me to the concept of graphic facilitation, but also later the idea of sketchnoting. And when you hear about sketchnoting, here comes Mike Roda. And he's like most known. He is a UI UX designer who started to popularize this. Like he's one of the most known people doing sketchnotes and graphic facilitation. So kind of using elements or there are elements shared between sketchnoting and graphic facilitation. And graphics facilitation is David Siebert. Like his book later on, I'm going to recommend, and there are going to be some things that I'm going to show you. But what are those sketchnotes? So here in the frame, there is example of how it looks. So they're kind of like notes plus, quoting Mike. So they combine words, visual elements, some coloring, arrows, in a section that you combine concepts like verbal concepts with graphical things to help you focus or help you pinpoint the most crucial information or emotion or idea and that you would like to remember or share with other people. And why they work? Because they combine like those two elements. So you can have like, I don't know, like I love coffee. So that's why like coffee here is, but you can have this idea by drawing a mug or a dripper or coffee beans. And then you can also capture what you hear when you grind coffee or what you see, like how big they should be, or what do you think about this coffee? Like, oh, today I had a nice cup, or like, oh, today I should modify a little bit of settings, how I brew it. And what I'm going to use. So obviously, so I'm using a tablet today because then as majority of people joins online, you're going to see the most how to draw. I'm using Notability app, but other worth mentioning are Procreate or Nebo. Notability I just got used to, and it's here, and well, I kind of like it. But I basically now prefer to draw on paper but it will be very difficult that you could see how I drew on paper today. So that's why digital medium, but I love paper, and it's super cool. Example a little bit. So so this is note taken on Agile swarming, and it's about like making mistakes and learning from failures, and that's not taking all about. You basically just try and you accept that you don't want to capture everything, you want to focus on stuff. And the nice thing is like you can have a concept and then you can add some colorings later, and that you can do both on paper and digital medium. Paper, I love paper, and I love those cards. So here is like the photo of it, because, well, it's super, you can take it with you, you can put it in a book. And here, for instance, like, oh, what questions would be nice to ask people who visited conference, or like how to conduct like liberating structures system. So you can sketchnote that, and you don't have to open your laptop. And then you're also going to remember it much better. And then you can also share that with other participants. But it's a little bit on the verge of noting. But now, when a little bit, I hope you got interested, or maybe you already have some ideas, like what is for you, we can start trying. And everything starts with 5 basic shapes. And now it's the moment that you grab a pen and you grab a card, and we're gonna draw 5 elements. So we have a circle, a square, triangle, dot, and I like making dots that are kind of empty inside, but that kind of preference, and a line. And now it's the time to take a highlighter, because we have those shapes, right? And notice that the moment you start adding a little bit of shade here, like next to those elements, for instance, like I'm assuming where the light is falling, it already starts to look a little bit like, I would say, fancier. But that is like if you like to have like a little bit of fancy, but like a 3D starts to appear tiny a little bit. And that's like the base, like some basic elements. So we're gonna use those 5 shapes and some shading to create a little bit more advanced shapes now. So, and of course, anytime if it will get too fast, now we start to slowly, please let me know. I could hear you earlier, so I hope we can still. Okay, so I have here we're gonna draw those 6 because there's a lot of stuff to cover in 1 hour. But like, let's start with super fishy thing. Oh, suddenly I got like purple color. Let me go back to black. Okay, so the fish can be started super like Povadi style, simple. So if I have this tail, so I can now add those like a little bit of a fin. It can be a fish with an eye, and let's make it that it can breathe, and maybe it's gonna have a little bit of fin here, and there's one here, and we already have a fish. Maybe I was a little bit too fast, but like it's this one, I would say it's mostly lines, a little bit triangles, but mostly lines. Fish can be useful for doing shopping, but maybe you join a talk or a conference and it's like someone recommends a book. So how to draw a book. We're gonna have basically either 2 rectangles, or you could also, draw one big and make a break in the middle. And now we drew 3 lines to add it a little bit of depth. And now I can add a little bit of that content. Like for instance, there might be some lines, maybe there's going to be illustration, maybe there's going to be some picture and more words. And basically now I would say it kind of looks like a book. It's really good to stay, if you can stay in 2D perspective, that makes it really easy to draw. The house approach will be quite similar. You probably see the miniature. Unfortunately, I cannot do anything about it. That's the setup. So the house will be, well, we can start with a full like triangle, a part of rectangle. We can add a door, even with a handle. We can have a window. And even a chimney, if we feel like, well, that's a thing. So we can use that to mark, oh, that this day, like someone works from home. The house can be even more simplified, because even if I drew something like this, and then it's going to be a little bit getting out of 2D, but like, well, it's kind of still archetype of a house. So you can experiment with the ways you want to show that concept. Like if we go this trend, for instance, okay, so if something is happening in the office, so if I drew, so I usually we're gonna do like leave a little bit of space, because we have this our Motorola logo. So I'm gonna make the logo on the top. For instance, that I'm going to Motorola office, so there's gonna be our M, and then well, we have a lot of windows, don't we? So then I just do those reversed L's to mark how many windows there are. And then the office is also like somewhere like on the ground. And there is office building. So I drew those on the poster for this for this talk. And in the office, well, at least I feel strong need to drink coffee. So a coffee mug can be pictured. So this is a little bit, I would say, variation on the IKEA mug, but like with a little bit bigger handle. And well, it can be like a steam coming out of it. So then it's a well, hot coffee. But here comes a nice thing about combining words with images, because well, we think it's coffee because it's like there's coffee written under, but if I now make it, well, I can make it tea. Like I don't drink coffee, I drink tea. So I can, I don't know, I can create a note about someone or introduce myself by a note, and I can like, yes, and I don't drink coffee, like tea for me. And the last, so the lunchtime, for instance, maybe it's gonna be pizza for me. So it's a little bit of triangle, so a slice of pizza. So it's a beginning of a triangle, and then a little bit piece of a circle, and then let's add that is like there is some crust. And well, let's go with pepperoni. Pepperoni is nice and easy because I can draw those salami pieces. And now comes the time for the highlighting, because like, well, those, well, they look nice. Hmm?
To make the tea look more like a tea, you could add this tail with this little tiny piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now we have tea.
That's what
Yeah, and if we add the, so as I'm gonna use the purple, but use any color you want. Like the gray works wonderfully, but it's not that common. But if you have access to gray highlighter, they do miracles. So let's see. So for instance, like we can color a little bit of the elements of the fish. And the book, like we can add the shading, and it's gonna make this thickness of the book a little bit more prominent. It's like open, and we can like color the illustrations, for instance, to mark that they are colored. The house, we can also add some shadings, and then those pictures become a little bit more 3D suddenly. With the office, I would usually make the shadings for those L's. So here you have to choose wisely how many windows you want to draw. Like the more windows, the more shadings, and the ground. And for instance, let's go that like the M is colored. So the Mac could have some shadings or not. The Steam can be prominent a little bit. Like now it looks a little bit more hot, and well, purple food. I never had a purple food, but like I don't want to change the color too much. So I'm not sure. I would say now it's more like Haria pizza than real pizza. So let's go candy. Yeah. So here it will be some concepts that I'm also using during talks, or I don't know, creating notes for work. Because for instance, I would, I don't know, mark that this meeting was in the office, so I would draw office. There's many, like a little bit more icons that I use in a work setting. For instance, and I assume like as we have this workshop here, it's going to be useful. So a circle, and well, so I can mark that something was at, well, the arrows. Now I forgot English word, but like, okay, so it looks free, yeah. So, but I can add that is like AM or PM, right? So it can be reinforced, or you could have the same clock and add here, let's say, this highlighting. And now it will be like 30 minutes something. So there are many variations how you can use clock to show. There is other, like when I want to mark that there is event, I'm gonna draw a calendar. So like Mike in his workshop and his workbook, I'm gonna he uses calendar icon as a marking of deadline, but I mostly drew them to mark that this was a meeting or a meeting is scheduled or something happened during a meeting. So I have this so this is like those old calendars that you would put on the wall. So I start kind of with a square rectangle with those holders, and then I'm gonna put inside another rectangle and just add those like markings of the weeks. And I could even, like, if I go with some, I don't know, like I could put here a huge, I don't know, X, like to mark, yeah, we have a date, like it's scheduled, and then I can add, I don't know, like the 2nd August, like to for it to be like super clear what day I mean. There might be something that you want to like pinpoint in your note that it's something worth attention. And well, in Google Docs, I do that with emojis. But why not draw the like warning sign? Like you can have a triangle with an exclamation mark in the middle, and let's go purple, but like, well, so I can do some shadings for the alert sign and supposedly some coloring. So now it's like, oh, this I'm paying attention, but a little bit attention that, oh, it's like important, it has to be taken care of. But for instance, myself, if something is like, wow, I liked it, or like it was interesting for me, I would draw stars. So I started using I don't want to use, so of course, digital mediums, they have like, Control Z, right? But I don't want to use it today. I would do it on paper, and usually I try not to. On paper, you cannot correct, right? Here I can, and sometimes use that, but like, yes, mistakes, or like, oh yeah, I didn't mean to use this line here, that they're gonna happen. So the stars I would draw to mark, oh, this is interesting, or this was the key point. So I'm gonna use stars. So that's my style. But this star is a little bit tricky, but you can, well, always do those asterisks kind of. So they are only lines, and they already can, so they can be like a marking, oh, that's super interesting, or like a beginning of headers. Mike, in his workshop, he uses stars, like those two types, as a bullet points, and basically any icon you can use as a bullet point header. There is also concept of ideas, or something new, like in a way, oh, interesting, or I just thought about it. And light bulb, it's a little bit of a circle with the middle, and then the squiggly line inside, and you can even add that it glows, and it's a little to show that it's even more glowing. So here, of course, the adding some shading, or like lines. So here, like IKEA ones allowed this color, for instance. Yeah. To-dos. This is something that I found in Mike Roth's workbook, and it's super cool, because, okay, so and it's also like in the Google Docs, right? We have a square. So, and here we have a thing, right? And okay, so it's something to do. So imagine I put the dots in it. So I'm gonna just start drawing them here. So it means, for instance, I started. So if it was started and I have this dot, right? It can change magically to, well, it's done. So I can add a tick covering that dot that was initially there. It can also, well, not be finished because, well, oh, maybe it's not used anymore, or I had better idea. So then, well, it can get cancelled. It could also, from that dot, get, for instance, postponed or moved to someone else. So I had the dot, and then from that dot, I do arrow. And here I can do new date or new owner. Oh, imagine. So you can add a note why this arrow is no longer in my to-dos. But it's quite simple way to mark what is happening with the thing you want. And the last section that I have here is, well, quotation marks. So of course they can be those, so they can be those squiggly lines. So a little bit like blurred triangles. You can also do, I call them, they look like shark teeth for me, but I saw some people drawing quotation marks like that. And of course, always, well, but then it's depending how long is that quote, you can always unwrap it in a speech bubble. So we're gonna get there too. So and of course, well, we can add the shadings to our to-dos, like, oh yeah, that's the bullet points. Or so at any time the shading can be done. Let me check. Okay. So, and now, so this was, we were kind of in the icon world, but another thing that is very nice to the picture and using the notes to, especially to convey who is involved or emotions or people you discuss, are people. So if I'm in a hurry, like, I don't know, like someone speaks very fast or a lot of stuff happening and I want to capture, I would draw people like this, and this is, I think, is the simplest way. So you draw a circle. So on the left, I have like a, you know, a little bit like for you also, that's maybe easier, but I'm gonna draw with you. I hope you are drawing too. And then I don't know how to describe this shape. They look like hatif nuts from Moomins, right? And then they might be standing somewhere, and suddenly I have a person. Like if I wanted, so like a space person. So there is no way why you cannot add a little bit of fancy stuff there. So they can be like the simple person, but now they can be wearing a hat. So I don't know, like you can say like this person wears a PO, is product owner. So and or they change, right? Or they can be, sorry, I put a eraser. So but I don't know, like let's put a necktie going to super standard, and suddenly we have a stakeholder. Like using this cliche scenarios. But like, what if you want to like mark that as a group of people, or like they made the decision already discussed, or like who is involved? So I usually will start with the, I don't know, it kind of looks like a hand, but like, and then I would add heads, and then I have team, like, and I can draw a name of that team, right? So I don't know. Let's use nope. So it can be a nope team, and if I'm so, and then it can be another, so bears, and I don't know. I want to mark that they did talk about something. So I'm gonna make those, I don't know, like a base of a speech balloon, marking that everyone was involved. At least I always hope when there's a team discussion, like everyone could have a chance to talk. Not like, I don't know, like a, so probably I will put some what they were discussing, but like, so some discussion was taking place, or and for instance, this team, I don't know, they might not have heard anything about it. So or they did, or they had questions. I don't know, like many things you can convey with drawing the stuff. But there's more ways to draw people, and I'm experimenting with various of those, and you can too. You can find your own or create your own. So another thing that I found in it's called the STAR method, in reference by Mike. So you start with a circle, so that's the head, and then you kind of do those, they're kind of like sharp, sharp limbs, like kind of like a starfish. Think about starfishes when you do. So that's why there are those star method. And there are many things you can do with this shape, because like, so this one I would say it's a little bit sad. I drew him, he's a little bit slumped, but if I have this head, and I'm gonna put his hands on the top. So sometimes let's use the eraser. Sometimes the tool wants to help me, and I don't want the help. So let's start with the hands, like on the rise, and then now I can draw legs, and now it's like, yay, like classic victory pose, like with rising hands. And you can also draw a super cute sumo wrestler, and I love Japan, so when I saw this, it's like I had to. So we go a little bit wide, and now we kind of go even wider with the legs, and then can have those hairstyle. Whoa, no, why did you do that? Don't erase my stuff. Yes. Yeah, and now he's all dressed, and I have sumo, belly button. Now he's complete. Yeah. So many like emotions or ideas you can convey. Of course, you can dress them. You can, but that depends on I usually just leave them as they are. But there's another way, kind of more Lego style. So basically, they recommend that you start, as here in the example, from the trunk. That the shape of the trunk kind of it's going to impact how the entire human is going to look like. And we also kind of like if we, so for instance, if I drew like this, so it's like, yeah, like full power, I'm proud. So I have the strength, and then they say legs. So for instance, like a front leg a little bit like bent. They can have this. I had this. So it can be this like, I'm speaking about something or bringing an idea to you. I had this wonderful idea and I want to show it or tell about it. So but there is like, so sometimes from mem pictures, but usually I noticed that, for instance, I have a tendency always to start with the head, but if I pay attention to start with the trunk, it's also possible. So for instance, like the finger. So I saw this meme. It doesn't work. I don't know why. It works. I don't know why. So you have the same kind of pose, but like, and they have those hands, under the nose that I don't even have to draw, but you can kind of imagine as like, what is happening here, right? And then it's like, you can add some question marks, and it's like someone is really puzzled about something. And there is basically taking and you can experiment with how big foot or like what type of hands you want, because you can have those Lego hands, or you can just, like, I don't know, finish them with a tiny dot. So there's many options, and sometimes the time is in essence. But for instance, Alicia on her workshop, she provided like that there's examples of humans. So it's a like, so I was basically looking at those examples and trying to draw some stuff. So for instance, like introduction. So I have a door, like a door frame, like the guy on the left, and then I have the head, and then I'm gonna make this trunk that is a little bit visible, and this person has like one foot in the door, like the salesman, and the hand like a little bit of opening, and now I can add a speech balloon and have hi. That's like, well, so they're kind of entering. So and I would be looking at those and figuring out what, and then later on I would experiment with drawing some of the things during the talks that I think like the speaker or is conveying. But maybe you don't need an entire human. Sometimes like the face is enough. And if you draw a nose, so I have a nose, and now I'm gonna add eyes. And instead of drawing two eyebrows, well, you can just monoline. It's kind of easier. And now you can decide what line should be like a mouth. And you can create a lot of combinations here. So for instance, if I have this like nose, and I'm gonna do those like a little bit like smiley, like two smileys, he is thinking about something. It's a kind of little bit like the village smile. But there could be well, like with a straight line and a smile. Well, they are happy, but like they're not so super happy. Like it's like, okay, I'm content. It's nice. But if you do this like this line, like reversed smile, then it's like, a little bit concerned. So you can also think which combinations work for you, like experiment with those. But there's a lot of stuff being possible here, and you don't even need the brackets. Basically, probably like the only those elements of smile are good enough. And conveying the words, sometimes you would like to make a title for your note. I don't know, like the talk you were visiting, and it's very handy thing is like, well, basically you always start with single line, like so for instance, title. And if I use enough space. And here it's a little bit handy to have I would say, paper with with lines or squares. I'm a huge fan of dots. But like, okay, so I have this title and I'm in hurry. Like, I know the title, right? I can check in the conference agenda. But later on, if I would like to have those nice thick lines, I can add the second line. And now I will know what to color, like kind of what to fill in. And if you want to create even thicker, then you go with 3 lines. And the 3 is, I guess, even simpler, because then you just add symmetrically from the ones that you created. And later on, when you have time, you want to relax, or yeah, I like this note, I would like to share it, and I want this thick title, you can do the coloring. And then no one will know that, like, for the majority of time, that note was like those 3 lines. And that allows to create those nice thick letters. Of course, there's this block way of writing. So then you just go very thick, and then you decide where you're gonna put the middles, and you can, well, do shading with black, or like you can always add the highlighting, and it's always gonna add a little bit of depth. Time-wise, I'm still okay. The container elements. So sometimes I think I was experimenting with the headers of the section, that they're a little bit easier, but I want to show you this ribbon one, because and when you want to contain something, like make it in like those, please always start with the word or title, this thing that you would like to have it, because it gets problematic when you first drew the nice place to put your title, and then it never fits, or like, oh, you start they are very so thin and round at the beginning, and the more you go to the right, they get this so narrow. So let's go with workshop, for instance. So I have my word, right? So I'm doing lines like on top and the back, and then I close this. So I have like this middle section. And now you create 4 lines, and the one that is under gets a little bit under this place where your title is. And from the left and right edge, they're kind of like together. So okay, so we close it here, right? So we're gonna do a fancy one. And now we connect those 2. And we connect those 2. And we have a part of the ribbon. And because I went totally crazy, so we could, and we would like to have those nice ribbony edges. So I do this thing again. And you can basically continue as much as you want, right? You can probably add here, so we still have June, I don't know, June 27, I don't know, like basically you can probably use some stuff with that ribbon. You can create it, it can have more space, and you can add a speaker name, a place, a date. So basically it can be used not only to decorate the title, but also to contain some information. And of course, it's super good candidate to add, of course, the shading and the coloring, because, for instance, those things under the ribbon, you can add the coloring, and it has this 3D thing. And Alicia added like a lot of examples. So you can have this kind of metal style plate with screws. So then basically imagine that so we could like, so now I kind of like, it's a short word, so I could fit it, but like, so now totally like forever staying here. It's like in place, set. So and you can like use like I'm gonna share this, so those cards with examples, so you can also try them out. But it's like you create the shade, you add coloring, you decide which one will match. And similar thing can happen with a speech balloon. So in the simplest, like I would draw a human and for instance a question mark, and then, well, if I put a speech balloon, I can say it could indicate that it was that question was asked, or like someone said it actually. But if I have a question mark and I'm gonna make it in this like cloudy one, then, well, I just thought this question, or maybe it's worth thinking about. So you can also add those elements to like what this, I don't know, topic or during which discussion. So those elements can be also used. Or this example below, it can like that you can basically link those kind of concepts. And of course, so it can be like square based, or if more round shapes, or as I was showing with, I don't know, like a team. So here, very very fast drawing. So I'm so it was kind of like a conversation that was shared, or like, I don't know, someone had like a, I don't know, some additional, it's like three Polish people and four opinions style of discussion. And arrows and containers. So arrows, like so many arrows possibilities. It's kind of like Google Slides can also get like full of inspirations, but triangle and part of the arrow. And then, well, there are so many options like to end it. So because it can be like fancy like this, it could be, so there can be a topic, for instance, or like, and then, well, the entire topic gets drawn to the future, or it's something that's going to be continued. Or we can have this chain of, I don't know, dependencies, or logical thinking. So it can be, well, in super simple example, but like arrows do wonderful things. So it's worth using them a lot. And to summarize all the like elements that can happen in the sketch notes, so there can be I wish I had laser pointer, but like so there can be so I'm going to be using this then. So we can have titles. So that's like words, and this typography style that you can have like those double lines, and of course handwriting to capture like the content that you want to see. You can contain stuff like here, all those elements are kind of like in those squiggly lines, or you can just divide sections of a page with just line to mark, oh, this is kind of new thing here. Bullets, and any icon can suddenly turn into a bullet point. Thoughts or speech can be using like the speech balloons, diagrams, drawings, and arrows, and also icons independently can be adapted. When you have the content, or when you participate in something, probably spontaneously or not spontaneously, you can, like based on your notes or notes of other people, you can notice that there are some structures that can be happening. Usually they will follow like some logical flow or hierarchy of information. Like best if speaker or the topic that you participate is structured like that, then it's going to be easier for you to make notes. But always later on, you can also structure it like that. But you might have like this linear that we go from the top to bottom. Maybe that's going to be many aspects of certain idea, and you can put it in the middle and have this radial flow that's everything is connected to it, and then just go like a kind of mind mapping style further. Or vertical, so that can be just like you go down, or the skyscraper version that you have columns, because maybe some people very often divide, I don't know, there are 3 key points or 3 elements, and then you can just like go down. Modules or a path of thing can also be done, and to make someone to easier understand it, you can also add arrows later on for someone how to read this note, that it's a little bit easier for them. But this entire sketchnoting about like what I told you at the beginning, that, well, I didn't do notes because I was always focused on, to catch everything. and I don't know, I started reading about those books or watching other people's sketch notes, and they were like, but nowadays it really doesn't make sense to capture all the words, because like we record the majority of meetings. If you want every word, you can just watch recording or contact the speaker. So here it's more about the key ideas, like what resonated with you, what you want to remember, what were your feelings, what do you want to share, what your impressions. So of course, combining facts and opinions, like for instance, oh, this drink, because sketchnote doesn't have to be about work, it can be about anything. I don't know, like I had bubble tea, for instance, and that was combined of the, like, I don't know, matcha, oat milk, tapioca, and the taste was, I don't know, fantastic. We're like, oh, too sweet. Next time I'm gonna ask them to please don't add so much like syrup. But then this opinion, your impression, I would say, is the most important part of all of that. And some tip, like things from what I'm learning, it's like if you notice like it's not so easy to draw, like, oh, there's so much white page, I'm gonna like really try smaller. Like I love those cards from Office. I don't know what they are originally made for, but it's so easy to fill them, and basically, like, I don't know, I can even sketch now like a Agile spot talk on it, and because it's so condensed, it's actually easier for me to focus on those things that I want to remember, because I don't have so much space. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but try smaller, like paper or screen. If you are totally, and if you have access to digital and you want to try this out, it is awesome to have like like Control Z. And I started on the iPad because I was super afraid of making mistakes on the notes, and I wanted to have the correction. But the more I drew, the more I like paper, because I cannot correct. So I'm gonna be mindful what I write. And if I make those mistakes, I'm gonna then figure it out the way that they don't show off. I really do. And then I must now note on the paper if I have occasion. And I just drag those notebooks with me, and it's fun. And experiment with the ways you want to mark the hierarchy, or the things that you interest. Like, I don't know, you create like one, I don't know, like this asterisk sign, for instance, like for something that, oh, this was interesting, I want to come back to that. And then when you look at your note, you can easily find those places. Combining like the words with like a little bit human things. So this is this meme, like, well, it's super simple concept, but you have one posture and it can work both, like depending what you're at. And especially if you have like one card, like movable card, when you start making your own library of icons, you can move it around between your notebooks. And of course, if you use digital, just have a separate file that you can easily access if you want to remember, or you find out, oh, I want to use, like, I have idea for the new icon. But other usage. So I was talking about like the icons, like it's sketchnoting, but those elements, they can be super useful for some of you when you prepare for the meeting. For instance, this ribbon find. So, wow, our grand rules of our meeting. And supposedly there's like a agreement, so you a fountain pen, so it's like we kind of mentally sign that, yeah, we agree to have that. And you can have like agenda of a meeting, so intro, so we have this person in the door, and the challenges that we have, what we're going to be brainstorming, and then we're going to prioritize what we think. And it's like words and a little bit pictures, and but imagine you have this on the wall, and you can have a post-it card, and you move it, you just restick the post-it card, and as we are here now, guys, we are here now, we are brainstorming, or like, oh, we brainstorm, we have our captain, so now we prioritize, and you can reuse that poster, or you can have it digitally, you can put it on the whiteboard, you can draw it. It's like you drew all the elements today on this meeting to create this one. Even simpler one for also like the meeting, what worked, what didn't. We have 2 arrows with keep it or do it, so like something new. So and we have like a checkpoints and scribbly arrow. And that also can be both digital or even on a whiteboard. It's not a problem to draw those simple structures. And it can later on look like this, so that you have those post-its and you have some ideas, and you can gather that. So so some elements of sketchnoting can be super useful. And here we go into, like, I would say, example of oh, I rearranged suddenly. Of graphic facilitation. So a graphic facilitation is using a graphic or visual elements to have a kind of big space that can help you focus or lead the discussion in a way that you then collect everything that was discovered. And you can look at this during the meeting. So you don't have to keep it in your mind. You can later on find associations. So for instance, we had this big arrow, but we can have those stages. And for instance, we have those columns, this escape scripters way, and we can mark the teams that we need to be involved there, what things we need to, like success factors, what can help us, like what have we discovered, what is crucial for a particular stage, what challenges. And I realized that I haven't added cards, and for sure there will be some, probably a lot. But then you can also start with putting what's your target, what is the things that you want to do. So and that can be on like whiteboard, it can be flip chart, it can be digital medium, and it really helps. Or for instance, like I was lately using that because there's a lot of new meetings that I'm joining, and I have no freaking idea who are the people who are there. So this is a little bit fancy template, but can be simplified. I had a lot of time to prepare it like half a year ago. So I'm reusing stuff, that I was doing half a year ago. But like, imagine that we had this table of people. So I can write a name, or I can even, like create just heads of those people. And then I will write down who does what, like I know that Google will help me, but a little bit like I can also ask some people earlier, like, who is that person? And then I will know. I will not have to remember each time. I can just refer and learn gradually. So well, stuff like this can be written, but a little bit summary, like wrapping down. So sketchnoting basically is a combination of writing, lettering, drawing, but it's all about capturing your ideas, feelings, and like I would encourage you to figure out the occasion that you can use it. Any element of that, it's good. It's yours. It's your thoughts, your mind, the stuff that you want to remember. But there might be something that helps you recollect or remember things. And trying new skills, it's not easy. But like with like practice and time and like having fun, it's really doable. And tiny potato beliefs, and I'm even dressed correctly. And the stuff that helped me, because I'm already practicing that over 2 years. And the first occasion, it was like I was like after this workshop, and I had a discussion with a colleague, and I was like, I don't remember what you're saying. I'm forgetting. I'm gonna just draw some stuff, okay? And I started just drawing things and like the teams and the stuff she was saying on the whiteboard. And it kind of kickstarted it for me that, wow, it's really useful. I can use that having conversation, and it was easier for us to discuss. But then I got like, wow, that's really useful. I'm going to learn more. So this workbook is super awesome because it also gives a lot of examples of other people's sketch notes. Because here you see my style, but there are many people like drawing in various ways, and it's very cool. And this entire book about visual meetings is amazing. And here in the QR, there's also like half an hour workshop. It's kind of similar to this one that I'm conducting, but Mike is like really good expert, really good in explaining that. So if you want more, I highly encourage you to check out. And thank you very much for joining today. I was very happy being able to tell you about something that I like doing. That's always nice. And well, now it's the time for a Q&A, or questions or comments or anything. And I hope I made it time-wise. I did. Oh my God. Thank you.